The power of the people will always be greater than the criminals in power. So it does not matter the shenanigans that they would want to do. The persons who are in the Senate, there are about 108 of them plus 209, 360 lawmakers. How many are the politicians that will hold how many million people hostage? So beyond the case of Senator Natasha is an outright and flagrant, abuse of power. The National Assembly today has almost become an extension of the executive. It is like the APC town hall. When the president goes to submit a budget, they greet him with his political mantra, on their mandate they shall fall. That place is the People's Assembly. So when will the Senate leadership be also suspended for turning a house that should be apolitical to a political party stakeholder meeting? So beyond whatever it is that they will be planning for Senator Natasha, because it is even unfortunate that for 6 months, a country grappling with insecurity, bandits are holding press conferences in Katsina, the Senate has been bent or has been neck deep into political battles of perceived enemies. So whatever it is, if the Senate wants to remember itself as a 10th Senate that fought to push forward the welfare of Nigerians, or that wasted this time approving loans without investigation and clamping down on one woman, it is up to them to make that decision. But Nigerians will not allow that injustice to be sustained.
Right. How will you assess this 10th Assembly in the light of all that we have seen? Are they really doing the oversight function, or they are just serving themselves?
I think in Nigeria, one of the greatest tragedies is that there is no worst case scenario, because things are this bad does not mean it cannot become worse. In fact, we thought that the 9th Senate under Senator Ahmed Lawan was bad until we saw the 10th Senate. This current Senate is probably the most unproductive and probably useless to the Nigerian people. A Senate that has become an extension of the executive, where legislative leaders wait to get instruction from the presidency. What exactly has the Senate in its 2 years going to 3 years of the 10th Senate done meaningfully well to impact the lives of Nigerians? The economy. It is just approving of loans and loans without investigation for the presidency. And then you see National Assembly members, instead of taking the pains of carrying out oversight, they are more interested in political controversies and all sorts. So for me, I think that it is high time for Nigerians to drain the swamp, to ensure that whatever that it is, because we are spending a lot of money. The budget for the National Assembly is above 350 billion. So when you spend so much money on non-essentials, on something that is not productive to the people, we are the collateral for that level of mismanagement and recklessness. So I think it is shameful what the legislative arm of government has become, because that is the arm of government empowered to carry out oversight. And if it can become that, where is democracy headed? Where is the country headed? Nigerians must think about how to recalibrate ahead of 2027, because we have a lot of trouble in our hands if this is what we have as a legislative arm.
All right, you've been in the forefront of electoral reforms. I can even see it on your T-shirt. Fix INEC.
Fix INEC now.
How do you think we can fix INEC now?
It has to be an electoral revolution. Mr. Victor, it is simple. Nigeria, we have been living in self-deceit. We have been living a lie. We claim to be a democracy. This year we celebrated 26 years of uninterrupted democracy in our fourth republic, and we have just done 65 years of independence. The hallmark of every democracy are free, fair, credible, and peaceful elections. That is the foundation, because it is a social contract where the citizens choose their leaders, and when they are dissatisfied with their performance, they can vote them out. If you fail to fix elections, there is no point of accountability. So we go through a vicious circle where people just continue to lament about bad leadership. They rig themselves back into power. They complete their 8 years. They rig another person who will become even worse. So if truly we want to be a democracy, it must be through free, fair, credible, and peaceful elections. Because elections do not only bring governments, they give legitimacy to governance. That is why it became very important that, look, INEC and the electoral process and the judiciary have become the weapon fashion against Nigeria. We must put a spotlight on it. Since 1999, the current president is the only president who has not come out to talk about electoral reforms and free and fair election, even though he prides himself as being one of the persons who fought for the June 12 MKO Abiola mandate, which was all about free and fair elections. 32 years later, Nigeria cannot boast of conducting credible elections. Even the late President Yaradua admitted that the elections that brought himself and the then Vice President Jonathan, he said they were flawed. We needed to improve on them. Unfortunately, he passed. But President Jonathan took it a step further to sign the 2011 Electoral Act, conducted the elections that were seemingly free and fair that brought President Buhari, then the destruction of INEC and the judicial system began. And that is where we are today. And if we fail to fix it, and they consolidate on what happened, the criminality we call elections of 2023, then we are done for as a country. Because there is a template. The current ruling party has a pedigree. We have Lagos State to look at for the last 26 years. Nigerians must fix that system of accountability. Whoever that Nigerians chose, let it come as the mandate of the people. You cannot come through the window and claim to be sanitizing the house. No. The process of getting into power is more important than what you do with the power. That is why we are on this.
A lot of people have said that Nigerians have lost interest in INEC.
Yes.
INEC itself is also saying that Nigerians have not lost confidence in them. That is about the individuals, it's not about INEC. How do you react to that?
I think it is unfortunate because INEC should, the leadership of INEC should bury their heads in shame. The professor of INEC, the INEC chairman currently, his tenure will soon be finishing. In a normal society where there is a rule of law, the INEC chairman should be on a subject of investigation. And I say it with unequivocally. If you collect 300 and something billion to carry out one particular project, you say the electronic technology will be the game changer. You needed about 150 billion and all of the position papers you did. Sir, on the day of delivering, you said the Senate result could pass through the server, but the presidential could not because there was a glitch. Sir, do we know what caused the glitch? Has INEC told us why we should not have further glitches moving forward? The politicians, have they come out to say, in the minimum, let us know why taxpayer money should be wasted in such a misadventure and on the day of delivery it fails? Until date, there is no conversation about electronic tech. In fact, the 2023 election has not even been reviewed by this current INEC chairman who is about to go. And when you say the people do not trust the process, INEC data for 2023, total number of registered voters was about 93 million. Collected PVCs were about 87 million according to INEC. The total number of persons who voted in that election were less than 28 million people. Sir, why do more than 50 million people take the pain of registering, collecting PVC and are not interested? It's simple. Nigerians do not trust those processes or those activities we call elections. In the words of one of the African Union observation team that came in 2023, they say what we came to do was not election monitoring, it was a crime watch. Imagine leadership that comes from a process of criminality. How does the country move forward? And INEC is telling people that it's not about. So for us now, it is to plug the loopholes. If the judiciary had done what they needed to do, we will not be where we are. But unfortunately, the judiciary have decided to be a willing tool in the hands of the politicians. So we need to plug every loophole and ensure that there is less human interference no matter who is running the agency, and then mobilize to protect your vote. But I personally believe that what will change elections in Nigeria is an electoral revolution. I mean, it has to become a national conversation. The issues of election in Nigeria must be raised to the level of a national crisis, because failure to do so will just allow us to be at the mercies of the politicians in government and persons who they install there. The act is clear. The guidelines for INEC are clear about how to appoint persons. But of course, it's solely the prerogative of the president. Persons are saying that, oh, you may need to now amend the law so that it is not just the sole responsibility of the president, who will also be a participant or a contestant, picking the umpire. But then again, to what extent can we really control the interference of people? Even those who may not be card-carrying members, by the time they get in there, how do you control their own activities? That was why it became important that, can technology insulate the process from human interference? And even when you raise all of these issues and say this person should not be a national commissioner, the person is a card-carrying member, what judiciary are you going to take the case to, sir? So Nigerians must wake up, because even now, the electoral reform, there is no political will from this 10th assembly to... If you pass electoral reform and do free and fair election, you are almost saying that 90% of the current politicians should retire and go out of office. So it will take a critical mass of Nigerians to wake up and insist that the right thing should be done, or else we continue in these irregularities.
If you are to ask to point one or two steps you think should be taken to achieve these electoral reforms, what will it be?
Occupy National Assembly. Nigerians must mobilize, civil society, everybody who means well for Nigeria. As the Senate resumes and begins considerations, they will begin a public hearing and all of those calisthenics about trying to do this. Because, of course, politicians will be politicians. If they give you reform A, they open a loophole by B. Because you know you cannot have it all together. So everybody must, in Nigeria, they will say men must mount. Nigerians must put maximum civic pressure to implement or express your right to peaceful assembly. Put the pressure you need. And then begin to look at the critical part of what part of the Constitution or the Electoral Act and the INEC guidelines, whatever that needs to be amended should be amended. And then, of course, there is the part of almost every case, every political contest in Nigeria ends up in the judiciary. Should the courts be choosing leaders for the people in a democracy? That is, we have shortchanged the will of the people. We can as well decide that the court should tell us who should be governors and senators. Let everyone go to bed. We have to fix this broken system, and it will take Nigerians waking up and realizing that our lives depend on the quality of elections and leaders we produce.